everyone, it's Huyen. Welcome to my channel where I talk about conscious living and mindful consumption. It's a journey that I'm personally on and I would like to share with you all, and maybe if you're on the same journey as I am, then we can be friends on YouTube. So before we start this video, I want to let you know that I'm not a vegan or a minimalist or any activist of any sort. I'm just a regular consumer that has opinions, and I want to improve the way I live. I want to live a more sustainable life, and I want to share it with you all so that I can hold myself accountable and that I can actually do something to improve the situation that we are in and the situation that I've have contributed in the past 23 years that I have existed. So yeah, let's get straight in the video. So in this video, I want to talk about my impression of Seaspiracy, what I thought before watching it, after watching it, during watching it, and also my overall thought of what we as regular consumers can do regarding this topic. First off, before watching the documentary, I was trying to avoid it for, I would say, at least 2 weeks. I've seen my friend on Instagram posting about it. I've seen videos on YouTube of people talking about it. But as I would say myself as a activist avoider, I try to not watch it because they tend to make me feel uncomfortable. I know it's not the best thing that you can do, especially that we live in such a destructive society with everything being destroyed every day, and I'm trying to avoid from it. But so it took me 2 weeks to actually sit down, or well, lie down in my bed to watch the documentary. Before lying down to watch it, I expected we'd talk about the plastic pollution. I think at this point every single one of us are aware. I was also expecting they would talk about oil companies like Shell that pollute the ocean, all of their accidents or whatever things going on. I expect they would talk about the killing of sharks in Asia, because I know that before I thought that was the worst thing that human can do to fish, that you kill off an animal just for a tiny part of their bodies and then throw them back to the ocean and they cannot survive anymore. I thought that it was the worst thing that you could have done to sea animals. And yeah, that's how ignorant I was. I was also expecting that they would talk about the Faroe Island, the killing of whales. I think is all over the media. Everyone was talking about how inhumane it is that you can see a bloodbath of whales being killed, and it's just not something that you're comfortable, and it's look quite horrific. So yeah, that's my expectation of the show, and they delivered way more than that, if you have already seen the shows. Seaspiracy is such a well done documentary. It addressed a lot of issues, the one that we are aware of and the one that we are not aware of, especially those. And it's go through so many data and interview, and it's go to so many different parts of the world to give us a bigger pictures of what's going on out there that most of the time we're not aware of, and plainly we don't want to know. Personally, I'm not comfortable knowing all of those information, and it's that make me feel really bad about myself, about my decision in life as a whole, my diet, my lifestyle. So I think it's a very eye-opening documentary as a whole that give us so such a different perspective of the world that we're living in. It's talk about so many issues that we are not aware of and the topics that we're aware of. I think we're all aware of plastic and it's talk about that. But they also mention other things like piracy, the overfishing of the whole commercial fishing industry. It's talk about trolling that I've never thought that's existing and it's allowed. Talk about the bycatch that I think it's ignorance to not be aware of it, to think that, oh, you can just go out to the ocean and just catch tuna and not catching any other sea animals. It's talk about overfishing, the violation of human rights. It's talk about piracy. It's talk about trolling. I am very affected by the act of trolling, because I've never thought that that's how they do fishing right now, because it's such a terrible idea for the environment, but we just not aware of it. I was eating fish before watching this documentary, and I never know how bad it is. When I think of animal cruelty, I think about the cow, the pigs, the chicken, but I never really think about all the fish that we catch in the oceans, because from my perspective, they're just there. They're from the ocean. By the time that they get to the supermarket where you buy them, they're frozen most of the time, and you don't see a life there. You just see a piece of something that you would eat. And I feel like we're so disconnected from the ocean. And I really appreciate that he spends so much effort into interviewing all the peoples, all the government agencies, all the associations, to give us an impression or an idea of how we are manipulated into maintaining our habit, our behaviors, our lifestyle, which is clearly quite destructive to the world, to the ocean, to the ecosystem. And I think it's a show that really keep you thinking throughout, because they keep presenting you with problems after problems after problems, and it feels like it's never going to stop. And in reality, it's never going to stop if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing. And we need to change. I think that's the whole point of the documentary, is to asking you to change. I used to think that I'm very aware of what's going on out there, that I know what needs to be done for us to be more sustainable. I try to do things. I'm not a vegan, I'm not a minimalist, but I try to do something. You can call me hypocrisy all you want, but that's how I see things. And I'm one of the people that think plastic is the biggest issue that happening to the ocean. I have stainless straw. I bought water bottle, not the plastic one, but the long-lasting one. I try not to buy polyester, because all the clothes with polyester and microfibers will go to the ocean, and fish gonna eat it, and if we eat fish, then we're going to eat those things. So I thought that I was quite well aware, but I wasn't. Was I? I was shocked to find out that is the plastic net that they use for fishing is the main culprit for the plastic. I was shocked to find out that it's the overfishing that is the culprit for the reduce of numbers of fish in the oceans. I think that's quite obvious, but in my brain I don't think of it that way. And I was very shocked to find out that we have been bombarded with marketing messages from brands, from associations, from all the newspapers, magazines that we've been reading, that hey, plastic is so bad and you need to replace plastic so we can save the sea turtles and the other sea animals and all the birds that flying at the sea. The moment that I found out that it's not plastic, it's something else, I feel like a kid being told for the first time when she's 10-year old that Santa Claus is not true. I feel that we have been manipulated by the medias and all the other agencies for so long that we don't actively look for informations. I don't know why plastic was chosen to be the evil guy in this whole scheme. Plastic is everywhere. Everyone knows that it's bad. It's just so easy to blame plastic for all the issue, all the problems that we have. And I think that is easy for us to accept that plastic is worse for the ocean than something that maybe you're not the one that contribute to it. That is the problem, because personally I've never thrown any plastic at the oceans. I collect all of my bottles, everything that I bring to the oceans when I travel. So I feel like, yeah, it's true, it's plastic, because I have tried to do so many things to save the environment. It must be someone else, but it's the overfishing, the fish that we have been eating every day. Yes, I've been eating every day. That is the real problems. It's not the water bottles that I've never throw out in the ocean. Also, I think for us, it's feel easier to blame someone else for the problems that going on in the world, that we are not the one to blame, and we can do something to make it better, even though it's not our fault, to make us feel even better. It was also shocking to find out that the labels that they have on all the tuna cans, on all the other fish products like tuna safe or MSC, doesn't mean anything. As a marketeer, as someone work as a marketeer, I'm aware how important all the labels are to companies and to brands. How much effort and money companies are willing to spend to get those labels. And I was in projects that I have to do things, to have to handle documents to apply for those kind of label. So personally, I thought that the labels mean something, at least in the projects that I work in. I thought that they meant something. But after watching the documentary and seeing how they can pay, I mean, for all companies, for all those labels, they do have to pay. So that's why smaller brands are less likely to have any of those labels. But still, it was shocking to find out that they can just pay and not having any real proof to actually prove that they are qualified for those labels. Because the labels for a company is a signal that ding, 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 we did something good. And for consumer to see that, they think, okay, well, the company must have done something right to get these labels. And it's in a way, it's a misconception between consumers and the companies, and the one that benefit the most is from what I personally see is the associations. But also, it's the whole industry that reinforce the message that the labels mean something when they clearly doesn't mean anything. How can the industry have gotten away with it for such a long time without us knowing? I think it's because it's not portrayed on the media. The media was telling us something else, and we brought it up. We didn't think much about it. We saw plastic. Okay, plastic is the evil guy. And the fishing, okay, well, we only have fish few times a week. How bad can it be? Well, as you can see, it's pretty bad. While doing some research on the internet, I've seen Seaspiracies or videos talking about the impact of fishing on the oceans years ago, and for some reason it's not brought to our attention until this documentaries. And I wonder why, along with the media not portraying the real image, the real stories enough. I also think that is the narrative that being pushed by the whole industry, the whole commercial fishing industry, that they are not the bad guy in here. Is the plastic. It's something that they have no control over. That's just the plastic bottles, the straw, and all those things. But it's not our fishing net that's doing the bad things, that killing sea turtles and fish and all those things. But well, they are. So now we all aware. Well, at least you, if you have watched Seaspiracies or you have learned it elsewhere. But I learned it from this documentary, so that's where I'm gonna put my source. Another reason is that the ocean is so massive. It's so distant from us. How often do we see fish being killed? I mean, we don't really see other animals being killed, but you know that there's blood on the cow and on the beef when you bring it home. But do you see blood on fish if you buy it frozen? Probably not. So I feel that it's so distant from us that we kind of don't have the image of fish and other sea animals being killed at all. It's just there for us to consume, and we don't think much about it, the life that is suffered. Personally, I think that the reason why no one really bat an eye about the fishing industry is because when you think of fishermen, the one that bring you fish, you feel like it's someone so honest. They're doing some honest work. They provide for their families. They go out in the ocean somewhere scary and dangerous, and it's their livelihood. So there's so many emotions involved that you don't think much about the impact it has on others, rather than the main person, the fisherman that going out there. I guess a lot of you out there would have family members that work as a fisherman, or know someone who work in the industry, or someone who, I don't know, own fish companies maybe. But personally, I have people who work on the ship, who own ships, who go out there who risk their life to catch fish and bring it home and sell it. So it's their whole livelihood. And when you think about it, you just mainly think about how their life would be without going out there and catch some fish to sell, to make money. But for us, do we need to consume that much fish every single day? Because the number is striking. They're both going out there every single day, every single hour, maybe every single minute, every single seconds to catch tons of fish. And do we really need that many fish every single day for every single one of us to consume? I think that the biggest reason is our own hypocrisy. And which fish are going to die, which one's going to live. And we decide which one that we want to catch and which one we don't want to catch. But the story in the ocean is, well, of fishing as a whole, is that you can really choose which one you're going to kill or which one you're going to catch. You catch all of them. And that's why the whole idea of having dolphin safe label is so problematic, because it's never going to be guaranteed. And personally, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of bycatch and that dolphin can can be catched during the process of catching tuna, which is very ignorant of me, because how can it be possible that you just go out in the ocean and just get one specific type of fish that you want, but you don't get anything else? It's not possible. Fish live together. I think that we all seen it in Finding Nemo. They all swim together, and you catch a lot of random fish all the time. And still, people like me, and I guess a lot of people out there, think that bycatch is not a thing, or is something that you can guarantee that is not going to happen, but it happened all the time. And it was so sad to find out that so many fish, that they're not the one that we want to eat, that got caught and then being thrown back to the ocean when they're already dead. Their life is already taken by the net. But still, we think that, oh, if we throw them back, they're gonna survive. Well, hopefully they're going to survive. But it's so far-fetched, and it's such a hypocrisy to wish that that we have all the powers to do those kind of things. And I'm really glad that the stupidity, I don't know any other better word, of those labels are brought to light by the documentaries, because I think that it has tricked so many consumers who just like me, wishful thinking that, yeah, well, I'm buying a tuna cans with labels that I paid extra for, that companies put extra effort in having it on their label, is, well, basically means nothing. I think for people who try to do something, who wants to do something better for the environment, it's easier to buy, for example, buying stainless steel straw rather than trying to actually change your habit, changing your diet to have a lower impact on the environment. It's so much easier to do, to buy something than to change your whole diet, your whole belief system, that is especially when it's something that you grow up with, that you've been raised to accept that is something is healthy, that something is right, is good for you. But at this point of time, it's not anymore, because we have destroyed the ocean to the point that we have to do something. After all, I think it's the whole problem with our society nowadays, that is our overconsumption. We overconsume food, we produce way too much food, we have too many cows, too many chickens, too many pigs, and we want to eat way too many fish and other sea animals, squid, shrimps, what other thing you can fish for. And we also consume way too many clothes, too many cars, we fly too much, and all those things it's all a part of the whole problem with overconsumption. Talking about the structure of the documentary, I really enjoyed it. It really put me in the state of, what am I going to do now? What I have been doing doesn't make any difference. I've changed my straw to stainless steel. I use more, well, I switched to reusable water bottles, but it's means so little. It show all the cliche, all the assumption that we made about our world at the beginnings, and then it's debunk all of it. It presents us with the real problem and the real threat to the ocean, which is overfishing. and then it presents with all the data and interviews, and it goes to different countries to further emphasize that, hey, it's the problem and we need to do something about it. And during that process of going to the oceans and catching fish, and how the population of fish being decreased, I, smart me, thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to buy fish that being caught in the ocean anymore. I'm only going to buy farm fish. And as soon as I say it, they address the problem of farm fish. And I was in another state of disbelief, of emptiness, of what am I going to do now? What can I eat anymore? Is there anything that I can do? And I'm very glad that at the end they come to the conclusion and the recommendation that regardless of what you eat, it's a hypocrisy. It doesn't matter if you kill a whale in Faro of a massive bloodbath. It's one life for another life. You kill a fish, you kill a fish. You shouldn't judge anyone that kills whale and you think that you're better than them because you eat a piece of tuna for dinner, or chicken or beef or anything. So we all living in a hypocrisy bubbles that we try to wiggle our way through the world to have our enjoyment of eating animals. But actually, we're all the same. We judge others, but we're doing the same thing. We think we have a moral high ground, but we don't. So at the end, the answer is to not eat fish at all, at least for the developed countries or the place that people can afford to eat something else. I'm not talking about places, the lower income people that has to rely on fish. It's us who live a comfortable life that has the options to eat less and switch to something better for the environment. It is our responsibility to do something, to change our habit, to change our diet in order to save our planet, because it is such a critical point that we need to cut down or even cut it completely. Simple as that. But I know that it's a difficult thing to change your habit. It's something that you grow up eating. It's normal for you to eat animal meat. It's normal for a lot of us to consume animals. And I totally understand that. I'm still on the journey of cutting down my meat consumption, my animal product consumption. After watching Seaspiracy, I have decided to cut fish completely out of my diet, or any other sea products. But it took me times. It doesn't go, oh, after watching this show, I go from eating meat for every single meal to not eating fish at all, because it's not realistic. It took me a year to get myself acquainted to all other plant-based options. I know of tofu, but beside boiling tofu and frying tofu that I grew up eating, I don't know of any other options. I've never cooked bean as a main dish before, because from where I come from, bean is not the main dish. Mushroom is not the main dish either, and those are some of the most healthy and the most available options of plant-based diet that you would see. And it took me a year to get acquainted to it. And I think I'm weak-willed, right? I admit, I don't think at this point of life I'm ready to be a vegan. I think that vegans are the best thing to do for the environment at the moment, but I'm not ready for that step. I'm not ready for it. And I think a lot of you out there who wants to do something, but vegan at the moment is not an option. And it's totally fine. It's totally fine if you just cut down some meal, some fish or some meat or anything, because it's better to do something than to do nothing at all. And we all in this together. I think that there are a lot more people who are thinking of doing something than who's already achieved the high point of being a vegan. And I think there should be a place for people like us who just looking for things to do that fit our lifestyle, that fit our willingness. And I think that you should get credit for what you're willing to do and what you've already done. I would be glad if someone pat me on the back saying, Huyen, you're doing a great job. You've already cut down 80% of the meat from your consumption. I wish, but not a lot. Well, I'm going to do it for myself then. But that's the whole point I want to say. It's totally fine. Some people might say it's a hypocrisy that you think you just doing this much and you're thinking that, oh, you can save the planet. But I wholeheartedly believe that everyone doing something is better than someone doing everything. And it doesn't matter at which state you are. Maybe today you just start incorporating a plant-based meal in your diet for the whole week. It's fine. It's totally fine. For me, it takes a year, months. And maybe for you, it takes a lot less and maybe a lot more. But we need to do something. And we shouldn't argue. I've seen so many ridiculous arguments over vegans, over, oh, it's better for the environment to eat meat than to have it all plant-based. I don't think that I think we're smart enough to know that it's not true. We eat meat not because it's good for the environment. It's mostly for our pleasure and for our habit. And it's the habit that's very difficult to break. And we are here together to support every single one of you to start and to continue and to not go back to the way that you have been raised, because the world, well, it's a quote that I've seen on the internet say, the world that you have been raised for is not the world that you're living in anymore. So we need to change. Thank you for staying until this point of the videos. I'm very glad that you have stayed to listen to my opinions, and I would be very happy if you would give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and a dislike if you don't like it that much. And also, if you have any arguments or any opinions or any point of discussion that you want to raise, I would be glad to see it in the comment section. And guys, it's time to make a change, and let's be a part of the change together.